Hey there. Good evening, everybody. Want to welcome you all here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I am host of this show. So, welcome to Into the Progverse. This is a show I do Sunday nights. We're going to be talking about those prog albums from 1976. So, we're moving on. I've done four. I was supposed to stop at 1975. I was going to do 70, 71, 72, 74, 75, which 5 episodes. But I kind of think that we need to go a little further here. And I've included some stuff tonight that I haven't included um, in the last 4 or 5 episodes, and that's some of the space rock stuff, maybe some stuff that might be a little jazz fusiony. Yeah, I decided that I should include those as well. Some of them are a little more on the proggy side than a lot others. So I thought it would be a good idea to include a few that I hadn't included because, to be honest, I missed out on a few albums that I quite like, and I probably could have put them in. So we got a stack of a dozen here, plus a whole page full of stuff that I don't own that I would love to have. So I'm going to start the way I always do. Welcome you here to the Prog Monster. And of course, you can make any comments you want about any of the albums I have. You can bring up stuff that you want to bring up. You can ask questions. All that stuff is free and open for discussion. So we're going to start now because it's 8 o'clock. So again, welcome here to into the Progverse, a look at the progressive rock and prog rock albums and some genres that are sort of within that realm as well from 1976. So I'm going to start with the stack is in no particular order. This is not a ranking episode. I'm not ranking any of these. It's just talking about them. So we're going to start with Eloy. So I didn't include any of the Eloy stuff in the previous episodes because I thought of it as space rock, and it is, but I think that it's enough prog that, maybe going forward for the next few episodes, I will include it. This is called Dawn. This album came out in 1976, of course. It's a solid album. I wouldn't say it's one of their best albums. It's not bad though. They don't really, to my ear so far, and I've listened to about 11 or 12 of their studio albums. I haven't heard anything that I don't like. So there's nothing really bad in their discography, at least not currently to my ear. Now there may be some that I haven't got yet that are like that. This one's okay. It's probably maybe my least favorite of the ones that I've listened to and have had in my playlist so far. But still, it's a pretty solid album. It's got that definite Eloy sound to it. It's still kind of pre Pink Floyd. It doesn't sound as much like Pink Floyd as some of the others, but still pretty solid album. So yeah, Eloy's Dawn, and of course another great, brilliant looking cover. I love those bright colors, Eloy. I'll put it over here so I don't mix it up. Next up is an album that I kind of think is more as hard rock, but it definitely, like a lot of their albums, is a mix of a ton of stuff. There is some prog in here, of course, as well, and we're talking about A Day at the Races from Queen, another album I like quite a bit. The stuff on this album I like quite a bit is more of the hard rock stuff, like Tie Your Mother Down, White Man, and there's a couple of others. Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, which is kind of a strange song. Millionaire's Waltz is good. Of course, this has Somebody to Love. So a lot of these tracks are You Take My Breath Away, more of a poppy feel to them. So there are some bits and pieces of elements here that are prog, but generally speaking, I think of this as a hard rock album, but a damn fine one at that. So this is Queen's Day at the Races, released in 1976. The follow-up to Night at the Opera, both of which are the use of the words come from the Marx Brothers movies. Both titles of the Marx Brothers movies. And we're not talking about Karl Marx here either, by the way. Next up is a band that I also think of as a hard rock band, but many people cite them as a progressive rock band. I can't argue with it. There's enough progressive rock on their stuff that you could not think of them as anything but. We're talking about Kansas Leftoverture, Carry On My Wayward Son, both the live and the original version. Sorry, in the studio version are on this album. It's a solid album, I guess. It's not really my cup of tea. I'm not a big fan of Kansas. I tend to think of them more as a hard rock band with some boogie stuff in there, and actually kind of think of them a little bit more as a jam band, jamming type music. And that's part of the reason why I don't really follow them too much. But still, you can't deny the progressive elements. The album cover and a lot of the songs have a lot of that on there. So you got to give them due where due is due. Next up, an album I only got maybe 6 months ago. Now, I did have his second and third albums, but I never owned this one until recently, and I quite like this. I like it more as I listen to it. This is Elias' Son Hello by John Anderson. The album cover is great. I know there are people out there who do not think much of this album. I don't think John Anderson ever came out and said this is the best instrumentation album you're ever going to hear. He just wanted to do everything himself, and he did. And he did a decent job. It's a good album. Elias of Son Hello. Yes. Hey, welcome, Wade. Welcome to the show. Glad to see you again. So I'm just going through the albums that, the progressive rock albums that I own from 1976. I'll also be talking about some of the stuff that I would like to own, but haven't gotten to that point yet with it. So we're doing quite a few. I've got a dozen here. I've also included some of the space rock stuff, some of the stuff that just has hints of psychedelia in it, and also some of the a little bit of the jazz fusion. Now, I don't own any of the jazz fusion stuff, so I didn't include that, but I will make mention of it at the end. Okay, so next up, you have to forgive me. I'm getting a bit of the yawns going on here. I'm trying not to allow it to take over, though. The next one up is this album, which I like quite a bit. This is the Tales of Mystery and Imagination, Edgar Allan Poe, from Alan Parsons Project. I know I do like most of the Alan Parsons Project stuff. This one is a concept album. Some really good stuff on here. I'm only just beginning to explore this album now. Yes, space rock like Hawkwind. Yep, absolutely. I didn't include Hawkwind in the first 5 episodes because I was kind of staying away from space rock, but I've decided to, since I've already exceeded where I wanted to go with this. I only wanted to do up to 75, but since I'm going to do 76 and probably right up till 79, I'm going to include some of the space rock stuff as well. Yeah, so Alan Parsons Project is kind of I think of them as more of a progressive pop band. I hope I'm not going to be attacked by my yawning spree for the rest of the night. That would not be good. This, of course, released in 76. They have a lot of stuff. I actually went on a spree with them one time. I went in there and bought everything that they had that was in the used bin for Alan Parsons. I got about 7 or 8 albums. So I'm quite happy with the collection I've got. I like this guy quite a bit. He's grown on me quite a bit. I thank Ben for another introduction. The next one up, Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die, Jethro Tull. This is the one Jethro Tull album that is a little bit different than some of the others. Yeah, there's some good stuff on here, no doubt. I don't know that this is overtly kind of progressive. It's got a little bit more of that folky, heavy rock stuff as opposed to that. But there is some stuff on here that's decent enough, but not one of my favorite Jethro Tull albums. Cover's kind of weak as well. So Jethro Tull's Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die. Next up, this album is quite good. One of the first ones I owned by the band. This is Interview from Gentle Giant. Came out in '76, of course. Lots of good stuff on here. It's not one of their stronger albums to my liking. It didn't resonate as well with me as some of their earlier stuff, but still pretty solid album. Can't say too much about it that's bad. And of course, I'll pull this out to show you the inside. There you go. And there's 5 members of the band going forward. So probably maybe not a top 5 Gentle Giant album for me, but still it's a very solid album. Interview. Next up, probably the album I like the best by this band at this current point in time, although there's a couple of others I've been getting into that I think might supplant it. And this is Mood Madness by Camel. I think this is their 4th studio album, released in '76. It's got some strong stuff on here. It's kind of a bit of a mellow album compared to the one with the camel, shaking camel on it. Oh, God, I can't think of the name of it. Anyways, I seem to be having a problem with my thinking today. It's not really, maybe I'm getting there where I'm getting too much of the olds. But this is a pretty strong album. This was kind of my first one to listen to. Album cover's pretty decent as well. The guitar is good on this. The vocals are not bad. Lots of pretty strong keyboard parts as well. And this one does come with some bonus stuff that I like quite a bit as well. So, Camel's Moon Madness. Next up, this is an album that I bought because this was one of 2. I bought 2 of them pretty much close to each other, thinking that this would be a band that I absolutely adore. And maybe the music could have taken me there, but the vocals have been very hard for me to handle. This is Still Life by Vandergraaf Generator. It's a great cover, absolutely great cover. And the music is pretty good, but I just can't deal with the vocal part. So I don't ever pull it off the shelf, or the other one. I have 2 of them. But they deserve to be mentioned. A lot of people like these guys a lot. A lot of people have invested a lot of time in talking about them and stuff. So I appreciate that. And so I'll give them their due, but they're not a band that I listen to much. So the last 3 here, I think will go very well. So we got 2112 from Rush. This is their probably seminal early album, the album that kind of launched their career. Many people still think of this as their best album. Some people call this a hard rock metal album. It's pretty hard to call something just a hard rock album when it has a song with 7-part suites on it. That's difficult. Some of the stuff on the back is interesting. Passage to Bangkok, Twilight Zone, Lessons, Something for Nothing, Tears. They're all pretty solid tracks. They're all in between 3 and 4 minutes in length. All pretty solid tracks. It's underrated, the back half of this album. Front half of the album, of course, is the 2112 overture and Temples of Syrinx. These are all the whole suite of 2112 is quite good. But I never put this as a masterpiece for me. I like it, but I don't like it as much as a lot of their other stuff. But it's still a pretty solid album. The cover's good. The theme is good. Of course, many metal bands cite this as one of their more influential albums. So I'm going to give it to you today. Rush's 2112. The last 2 that I own, and you know what? They didn't give me, I think I forgot the Yes album. So just give me 1 second. pretty sure this Yes album is here. I don't know how I missed it. Because it doesn't come out that year. So there's actually no Yes album this year. For some reason, I thought going for the one was a 76 release, but it's actually a 77 release. So there's no Yes album for this year, which is kind of weird. But there are two Genesis albums, and both of these are among my favorite. They're both masterpieces. They were my first two Genesis albums. I played them to death. And I didn't really go back to the Peter Gabriel era until much later, like in the time period of my daughter's birth, where these two came for me in the late 80s. So I had about a dozen years there before I got into anything other than these two. But I love both of these albums quite a bit. We'll start with the first one for the year, Trick of the Tail. This is a near genius album, masterpiece of mega proportions, and probably still my favorite Genesis album. Every song on here I've liked. It's had its period of time where it was my favorite, except for maybe Los Endos, but the rest of them, all, when I first got the album, it was Dance on a Volcano and Squonk. And then after some time, I grew to like Robbery, Assault and Battery and Madman Moon. Then I got a little bit into the softer part, and then it became Ripples and Entangled, which I think are both brilliant. And then I had that little period of time where I liked Trick of the Tail, where a lot of people said that was a throw-on kind of, filler type song. I don't actually believe that. I think this is a very good song. Yep, welcome. I am not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Nayuri? Welcome to the channel. Anyways, yeah, so a kind of a brilliant album, actually, in many regards. And I think a lot of people thought Genesis was pretty much toast once Peter Gabriel left. And for them to come back, first of all, with a vocalist that really added to the sound, but also kept the same sound going, and the music was the same, was hard to believe was going to happen. And not only that, they really went beyond that with this. They really went beyond it. It actually, not only was it as good as some of their early stuff, in many cases, I think it's better. So for me, this is a near masterpiece, near perfection album. The second album, Wind and Wuthering, more of a darker album, I guess. It's got that little kind of almost Canadian wilderness thing. But I actually at times like this album more. I don't think it's as good as Trick of the Tail, but it's definitely a masterpiece. Lots of really good stuff here. For a long time, 11th Earl of Mar was one of my favorite Genesis songs. One for the Vine, I really like the story they tell in that. It's very kind of spiritual in nature. Your Own Special Way is kind of the beginning of that pop era for me. So it's not, to me, it's a good song, but it's kind of disappointing because I think they did fairly well with that song and they just continued to move in that direction. What Gorilla is, to me, the same as Los Endos. They're interesting, but nothing fantastic. All in the Mouse's Night is probably my favorite track on the album now. Always look forward to hearing that. Blood on the Rooftops, of course, is an underrated masterpiece. Unquiet Slumbers for the Sleepers, In the Quiet Earth, really good. Both put together along with the Blood on the Rooftops, all three amazing. And then Afterglow at the end to end off the album. So it's a pretty strong album with an exceptionally good album cover and back. And if you want, you can pretty much feed these together as one, a barren, desolate landscape in the winter, or at least, I don't know if it is in the winter, but it feels like the winter. It might be just an overcast day, but definitely one of their better albums. So for me, Genesis has one of the runs of albums that is almost unparalleled by any other band. They go from Trespass all the way to this album, and if you want, you can end. And then there are three, all fantastic albums. Even the album that's kind of outside of the run that I think of as well, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway doesn't really kind of sound the same as the straight run of albums, but many people feel it is the best Genesis album. It's not my favorite though, but I understand why people might choose that. So those are all of the albums that I actually own that came out in 76. Now there's a host of stuff that I've looked at and wanted to get, but haven't gotten yet, but definitely deserve to be mentioned on this episode. I've got a list of them here. I'm going to go through them. Won't take as much time with these as I did with the actual ones that I own. But we have Caravan with its Blind Dog at Saint Dunstan's. All of that early Caravan stuff to me is really good, and I think probably very underrated. I got into them with the In the Land of Gray and Pink, which I think is a great album. I didn't initially like it though. I have to admit, it took a little bit for my ear to adjust to their sound. They're kind of different than a lot of bands, but once it did, I fell in love with the album, and now I'm looking for their stuff all the time. Soft Machine, this is another band who I'm having difficulty on the ear. I do like their debut album. That's the one I've listened to. I own one other one, 6, I believe it is. But most people tell me the first 3 are progressive, and then after that, you get a bunch of different stuff. Patrick Moraz on The Story of One. I've heard this album only once. I liked it. I looked for it, but it's difficult to find. Probably didn't sell much initially, so it might be difficult to find a copy of it anywhere. Barclay James Harvest is another band that I've discovered in the last 6 or 7 months. I have a couple of their albums, but the one that came out this year, which is called Octoberon, I don't have, but I would like to get it. I like to continue my journey with this band as well. Tangerine Dream, I don't have Stratosphere yet. They have so many albums, it's just difficult to get them all at once. So I've been collecting them. I got one on my last month's collection, but this was not the one. So, but it's still an album I'd like to have. Curved Air, this is the band that I like. Difficult to find their stuff. They had one come out in 76 called Airborne. I've actually heard this album before, so I do like it. Definitely on my list. Another band, Ethos. So this was the band that did extremely well in my battle of the Prog other bands, the lesser known bands. Did very well, even beat out Green Slade, but difficult to find their stuff. They're also American bands, so I never pushed as hard to get them. I tend to be more of a British kind of listening to music. Novalis, this is a band very underrated, but very well known in the prog community. Summer Bend is the name of the album. Oh, I forgot to mention the Ethos album was called Ardor. This is a band I would like to collect some of their stuff. They're difficult to find. It's understandable because I think they may be German. If somebody knows, they could let me know, but I think they're German. Next one is Star Castle. This is one I've looked for. It's near the top of the list of the ones I would like to have. Yeah, interesting, great band, I think. Then you have Pulsar, which is a French band. The Strands of the Future, interesting album. Would like to get that as well. I've included some of the space rock and some of the jazz fusion stuff that I've listened to. That I think is very good. One of those is Hawkwind's Astounding Sounds and Amazing Music. So this came out after that initial period of time with Hawkwind, where their music they had some really good albums, their first one through to their 5th one. Also had Lemmy Kilmister with them at that time. He wasn't on this album, but it's one that I would like to get. Anything that Hawkwind put out, I would like to have. Simple as that. Next is Return to Forever. This is more of a jazz fusion band. The album is Romantic Warrior. I did a couple episodes on that as well that I think kind of interested me. This is one of the few jazz fusion albums that really I like a lot, would like to have, from Return to Forever, Romantic Warrior. Harmonium, which is a French band, their album Lehaptid, I think is how you pronounce it. Lehaptid. Anyways, a French band, progressive. I do like their progressive stuff, even though the language is, I kind of understand some of it, but not a lot of it. Being Canadian, we do get a lot of French when we're young. We don't always keep it, but I try to listen and keep some of it if I can. Next is the Far East Family Band and their Parallel World. Is an interesting cover. This is a band that's kind of new to me. I haven't listened to too much of their stuff, but I do like what I hear. Gong, of course, with their Gazoos album. Gong is a kind of a hit and miss with me. Some of the stuff I do not like at all, like Mother Gong and that stuff. Other stuff I love a lot. So I guess we'll find out if this is one of them. Next is Ragnarok and the self-titled album. Would like to hear some more of their stuff as well. Then we have a Rick Wakeman, No Early Connection. So, Rick Wakeman, No Early Connection. Yep. So this is a album that came out after the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So I don't know much about this album other than it's still within that early realm, and it might be very good. I'm not sure. Shadow Fox, Watercourse Way. Shadow Foss. Actually, it's a French way of spelling it. I don't know much about it, but I did like the way the album cover looked. Popple Ace, which Stolen from Time. This is an album I did do in a battle that I think it was also in the other Prog War, same as the Return to Forever. And I think Star Castle and Ethos were also in that battle as well, if I'm not mistaken. But it's another album I would love to have. It's a band I like. I like the artwork on the album. It's reminiscent of Nazareth's Hair of the Dog album, which is, I think, the same artist did both of them. Really interesting. Steve Hillage, he's kind of a hit and miss with me. Some of his stuff I like a lot, some of it not maybe as much as I thought I would. Stormy Six I like. This is Click is the album. Interesting. I think it'll be worth listening to as more. Dave Greenslade, of course, from Greenslade. I liked all the Greenslade stuff, so I'm hoping I will like this one. I think I've heard this album actually once. I kind of liked it a bit. Cactus Choir is the name of it. And then, of course, the Jade Warrior stuff, the album Kites, which I think is maybe their 5th or 6th studio album, and the last one that you can get any information on online. The others don't really have much about them. But I've tried to get all of the early Jade Warriors. They've been hard to find. A couple times I actually found the albums, but somebody beat me to the punch on it. So that does happen on occasion. So those are a lot of the albums that I've would like to have. So there's actually probably twice as many of them as there is of what I own. But that's what makes it good. There is so much stuff out there you could never possibly collect it all. Even some people like, you listen. I look at Brendan Snyder's collection. He's got 15,000 albums, CDs, and I don't think he's put a dent in what's out there. There's so many albums out there, but maybe he has put a dent. Probably has, but just so many albums to listen to. It's very difficult to collect everything. So you have to pick and choose. So I try to pick the ones I think I'll enjoy the most, and the ones, of course, that will fill out my discographies, which is important to me because I'm a bit of a collector. I like to collect things. Sometimes I'll buy albums I don't really necessarily like all that much just because they fill out the discography. And I've done less of that over the last year or so than I was doing before that, but I've gotten a little bit more picky about what I buy. I don't buy too much online. It's a little bit expensive. I try to find this stuff. I like to hunt for the stuff, and if I find one, it's like finding gold in a stream. It's a nugget. So anyways, there's still plenty of stuff for me to get, and I've enjoyed doing this, and I like the prog music the most. That's the thing that kind of drives me. I probably should have been a little bit more thorough with the first 5 episodes, because there's a lot of albums I have that could have gone in there that I kind of ignored a bit, because either I didn't think of them, or I was only going with the more common stuff. So now I'm digging a little bit deeper now. So hopefully it'll be a little bit more interesting. So if anybody's got anything to say about any of these albums, or has anything that they would like to ask about, I'm open to that as well. I will give you all these albums, the ones I own. I will repeat them again. So I'm actually going to do that first. So you've got Genesis, Wind and the Wuthering, the second album from 1976, and Trick of the Tail, which came out earlier in the year from the same year. Masterpiece albums, both. Rush's 2112. A lot of people love this album. I'm surprised how many people rank this as their favorite Rush album. It's never been my favorite. It doesn't make my top 5, and to me, I don't put it as a masterpiece, but I still like it. Next up, the Vandergraaf Generator. The album cover is fantastic. It's not a band I listen to much. I bought this early on when I started the channel, thinking I would love it, but I just couldn't get past the vocals. And Camel, this is Moon Madness. I do like this one, some of their other stuff, because I like the whole sound of the one that I have the most hard time with is Snow Goose, because there's no vocals on it, but still a good album. Next up is The Interview from Gentle Giant, another good album by them, but not one of their best albums. Jethro Tull's Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die. Of that time period, is probably one of the weaker ones. Alan Parsons Project, Tales of Mystery and Imagination by Edgar Allan Poe. This is a good, solid album. I like most of his stuff. I've listened to just about all of his albums now, and this one's waiting its turn in my playlist. John Anderson, Elias of Sun Hillow, his debut album. Yes, he's got I have the other two, Animation and Song of Seven. They were the two that I owned when I was young, and I always tried to find this one, but it was difficult to find back then. But still, pretty solid album. Kansas Left Overture, Queen's A Day at the Races. Maybe not too proggy, but still pretty good. And we'll end it off with Eloy's Dawn. Yeah. Not one of Eloy's stronger albums, but still pretty solid. So that's what I own as far as 1976 prog albums go. And of course, I would like to have most of the stuff that I read off to you as well. Would be pretty good. Ultimately, there's just so many good albums out there. It's difficult to get them all. But some of these I'll probably listen to online tonight. There's a couple that I was interested, that I discovered while I was bringing this up, that I wanted to listen to and see how I feel about them. So I may do that later after this is over. I've got some baseball to do after the show, and I'm looking forward to that too. My team did pretty good last night, so I'm hoping that I hope I'm going to make the playoffs. I don't think I can win the division now, but I think I can definitely win the wild card spot. The way it works is we have 3 divisions, so the first place team in each makes it, and then 1 wild card, and I'm pretty solidly in the lead in the wild card department. So I'm hoping that I get to make the playoffs, because I like playing in the playoffs. Anyways, that's all I've got to say tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and we will be doing 1977 next week. And as long as people are enjoying it and wanting to come on and talk about it or listen about it, I will continue to go at least up to 79, and then I won't go into the 80s, because then you're entering a different realm altogether. Yeah, thanks Wade for showing up, and thanks Nihiro for also showing up. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you guys to come on board and listen. I hope that there's been some stuff of interest to you tonight as well. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to make any comments about any of those albums I either read off or showed off, you can do that as well. I look forward to seeing you all next week for 1977 as we get in towards the end of that, what I call the initial Prog era, kind of coming to an end in this period, like 77, 78 kind of coming to end. There was some stuff right up to 79 though. But yeah, anyways, we'll talk to you later. Have yourself a good evening and goodbye here from the Prog Monster.